Welcome in to Daily Dingers. Your host, me, Josh Hickey, is excited to talk all things baseball with our main focus on daily fantasy, but also including a few props. So let's get started. Good afternoon. Welcome back to Daily Dingers. It is a nice slate here on a Tuesday, a nice large slate on a Tuesday. We have 11 games on today's main slate for both DraftKings and FanDuel. Just to recap yesterday, I feel like we had a pretty good day overall. The only K-prop I had was Shane Baz. I said you could ladder him up. He ended up getting 11 Ks. I mean, the Red Sox strike out a ton, which is something that we definitely talked about, and maybe we'll continue to talk about today. Rice and Witt both hit a homer in the same game. We did not necessarily call a home run, but I did mention both of them on the slate. Aaron Judge did not do as well as we had hoped, especially for if we paid up for a guy of his caliber. He was one of the most expensive players, if not the most expensive player on the slate. The Braves did score 8 runs. They stayed hot yesterday. The Dodgers got a win. They only got 5 runs, which is a little bit less than what I expected against the Rockies. But Dustin May did put up a good stat line, and I played him a lot on both FanDuel and DraftKings. I was also wrong, though, on the Royals. I thought that game stack in general was going to be fruitful in terms of fantasy points. It was not for the Royals, just a little bit for the Yankees. So overall, though, I had a pretty good day, and hopefully that will continue into today. So let's talk about some park factors we got going on. So we have some hitter-friendly confines today. Not on the main slate, but some props we may be taking from the game. Cincinnati has the wind blowing out, and it is projecting for 21% more home runs than a normal day. And not on the main slate, we also have the Citizens Bank Park. The wind is blowing a little bit out and to the right, projecting 7% more homers for today. And then in other games, we have Baltimore and Cleveland, wind blowing out to right field. Yankee Stadium, also wind blowing out, projecting 16% more home runs. Steinbrenner Field, wind blowing out and to the right, also projecting for 17% more home runs. And a couple other games where the wind is blowing out. We have the White Sox, Athletics, wind is blowing out there. Busch Stadium, wind is blowing out there. Target Field, looks like the wind is blowing out there, and in Dodger Stadium as well. So we got some nice hitter-friendly weather for today's slate. So hopefully that will allow us to score some good fantasy points here today. So let's look at some stacks. We have the Guardians and the Orioles. I like the game stack in general. We have Logan Allen on the hill for the Guardians. We have Charlie Morton on the hill for the Orioles. So Charlie Morton obviously was a good pitcher when he was in his prime. I think he's a little bit past that. And Logan Allen just hasn't been the pitcher the Guardians had hoped for. Both are projected for over 5 runs. The Orioles are projected for almost 6. So, I mean, you're looking at a total of over 10 runs, almost 11 runs here for the slate. So I like the game stack in general. And you can get a lot of the players for pretty cheap, minus a couple, which we'll talk about in our breakdown. We have the Yankees versus Michael Wacha. And the wind, again, like we said, is blowing out in Yankee Stadium. And Wacha is just a mediocre pitcher. And the Yankees obviously have a very good lineup. You can get minus Judge, all of those players at a very affordable price. So I like the Yankees to stack up against Wacha. And the Cubs lineup has been pretty good over the last 3 games, averaging 8 runs in the last 3. I mean, having, I think, 16-ish runs in one of those games certainly helps. They're projected for over 5 runs against Vasquez, who is not a great pitcher for the Padres. And we have a lot of those players on the Cubs who are hot, and we will talk about those in our player breakdowns. And then lastly, Dodgers versus Ryan Feltner. I mean, you could pretty much always bank on stacking the Dodgers, but when you get the Dodgers against a mediocre pitcher at home, I mean, it's just more fuel to the fire, right? Just stack up the Dodgers. I mean, they are expensive, don't get me wrong, which is kind of why I tend to not stack the Dodgers as much. It's just tough to pay up for all those guys. But there are some cheap guys that you can afford. And then, I mean, I hate to say it, but Walker Buehler hasn't been the greatest pitcher this year. The Red Sox have not been the greatest team. And the Rays have a good matchup against Buehler. You can stack them up for cheap. They're in a good hitting environment at home. In their last 4 games, they've scored 16, 8, 4, and 6. So they are scoring at will, it seems like. I don't want them to score a lot of runs, obviously, as a Red Sox fan. But, I mean, they have been so far. So all the odds are stacked against the Sox today. So stack up the Rays as well. All right, moving into some pitchers. There are a decent amount. You can look to spend up for Strellenbach, who's been great, and Hunter Brown, who's been great. Both over 10K at DK and both over 10K on FanDuel. So wouldn't fault you for spending up, but there are, I think, some good value plays on the slate today. We have a mid-tier guy in Jack Flaherty. He's 1-0 so far with a 1.62 ERA. He has 21 Ks in 3 games. He's facing a mediocre Milwaukee lineup. So I like Flaherty today. And then Jeffrey Springs is against the White Sox. Obviously, not a good lineup for the White Sox. Springs is 2-1. He has a 4.2 ERA, 16 Ks in 3 games, and obviously a great matchup on paper against the White Sox. So you can get him for fairly cheap. And then you have Tyler Mahle. He's at home versus the Angels. In his last 2 games, he's 2-0 with 9 Ks. He has a 1.32 ERA on the year. You can get him for very cheap, $8,000 on DraftKings. When I looked, he wasn't listed as the starting pitcher on FanDuel, but I think that has been updated, so we'll get his pricing in a little bit. Ryan Pipiot versus the Red Sox. We keep talking about the Red Sox not being great right now. They strike out a ton. You can get Ryan Pipiot for cheap on both sites. He's $7,400 on DraftKings. Let's take a look at his price on FanDuel. Over on FanDuel, you can get Pipiot for $8,800, which is pretty mid-tier over there. He's 1-1 with a 3.38 ERA and 16 Ks. But like we said, you can rack up Ks against the Red Sox. Shane Baz proved that yesterday. So Ryan Pipiot, I think, is a great play for today. And then I also want to mention Tyler Megill for the Mets. He's facing a not so great this year Minnesota Twins lineup. In the 3 games Megill has pitched, he's 2-1 with 17 Ks, and his ERA is a very minuscule 0.63. So I like him against a team that does not score or hasn't this year scored very many runs. So those are the pitcher plays that I like for today. Let's move into our hitters. All right, for our catchers. So we have a loaded slate. We have a lot of games on tap. So I tried not to list a ton of players. I tried to pick my favorite few for each position. And I didn't really pick guys that are kind of no-brainers and guys that you have to spend up for. I try to pick and choose some mid-tier to lower-priced guys with a couple pretty good price guys mixed in there who I think will have a good game. So for catchers, 3 of them. Shea Langeliers, he's $4,300 on DraftKings. I'm not listing the FanDuel price because I don't think I'll be playing any catchers over there. He has 3 homers this year. He's playing in a good park with the wind blowing out. He is facing an unproven pitcher in Burke against the White Sox. So Langeliers is somebody who I will be playing today. And then Dylan Dingler, 3,900 on DraftKings. He's batting 325 this year with 2 homers. You can get him at a nice price. So I like him. He's been doing really well this year. He took over the starting job in Detroit. Like him over there. And then if you want to take a stab, we did talk about stacking up the Guardians and Orioles game. Bo Naylor, he hasn't been great this year. He does, though, have 1 hit in 3 of the last 4 games. And he's only 2,500. So you're not breaking the bank. You're getting him at a very good price in a game environment we like. And he has three hits in his last 4 games. So he's coming on a little bit. I think I'm going to be taking a stab today on Bo Naylor so I can spend up elsewhere. I mean, if you've been listening to the show, you know that I like to spend down at catcher. So it will allow me to spend up elsewhere. At first base, this is probably the most players that I listed at one position. There's just a lot of guys I like that aren't the super obvious guys. I like Tyler Soderstrom, and I'm going to continue to name him. He's 4,800 on DraftKings. He's 3,400 on FanDuel. He is batting 305. He is slumping a little bit since his hot start. He still has 6 homers on the year with a 1.032 OPS. Again, facing an unproven pitcher like Langoliers in a park environment that is wind is blowing out. So, and he's tied for the league lead in homers. So I think that Tyler Soderstrom is a good play today. Michael Busch. This guy has been red hot. 4,700 on DraftKings. He is only 3K on FanDuel. He's batting 310 with 4 homers on the year. He has 1 homer in each of his last 3 games. And in that same span, he's 7 for 14. So this guy is on fire right now. I don't know how he can't be in lineups, especially at that 3K price over on FanDuel, where you can play him and another first baseman if you utilize the utility spot. But don't look now. Yandy Diaz is red hot. All it takes is facing the Red Sox. 3,900 on DraftKings, 2,700 on FanDuel. In his last 4 games, he is batting 7 for 17 with 2 homers. He is facing Walker Buehler, who, again, hasn't been great this year at home in a great park for hitters. So Yandy Diaz is on the board today. And also in that same game, same position, but he does have second base eligibility on FanDuel, not DraftKings anymore, is Jonathan Aranda. I keep mentioning him. He's 3,800 on DraftKings. He's 2,800 on FanDuel. He's batting 395. He's an everyday player. And he's batting almost 400 with 2 homers. This guy is just raking this year. And they still won't price him up. So keep taking him. If they keep giving him to you at this price, keep taking him. And then lastly, for first base, I like Ryan Mountcastle today. He is facing, like we said, a struggling Logan Allen in our game stack that we like. He's 3,900 on DraftKings. He's 2,700 on FanDuel. That's it for first baseman. And over at second base, the highest priced guy that I have listed that is my favorite is Jordan Westburg, 5,100 on DraftKings, 3,200 on FanDuel. He is struggling a bit right now, but I think this is a get-right matchup against Logan Allen. And again, in that stack, the game stack that we like, we have Brandon Lau. He's 4,800 on DraftKings, 3K on FanDuel. Versus, like I said, against a struggling Walker Buehler in a hitter-friendly ballpark, a righty-lefty matchup, and he's got a ton of pop. Gleyber Torres is our last second baseman. He's 4,200 on DraftKings, 3,100 on FanDuel, so you can get him on the cheap. He has been hurt, but he's back, and he's got a hit in every game he's played. He is batting 389 with 1 homer in his 5 games that he's played. He's probably one of my favorite plays on today's slate. At third base, 3 guys. I am going to list the highest priced one. That's Jose Ramirez. I think he's got a great matchup, and we talked about the game stack. He's 5,900 on DraftKings, 3,900, which I think for his caliber is on FanDuel is cheap. This guy is usually a 4K guy at the very least over there. So I will be playing Jose Ramirez, especially on FanDuel. Caminero is a mid-tier guy. He's 4,500 on DK. He's 2,800 on FanDuel. He's facing Buehler. He's 8 for his last 20. He is batting .291 with 4 homers on the year. He does have a home run in each of his last 3 games. He is using the coveted torpedo bat, and now he's red hot. So Caminero is definitely on the board today. And lastly, Josh Young is 3,500 on DK, 3K on FanDuel. In the 6 games he's played, his 6 healthy games, he's 407 with 1 homer. He's got a righty-lefty matchup, which we typically like to exploit. So those are the third base plays that I like. And if you like Westberg today and you want to play a different second baseman, he is third base eligible on both sites as well. Shortstop, Gunnar Henderson. I will be spending up for him most likely. 5,500 on DraftKings, 3,600 on FanDuel. He has struggled out the gate, but he did get 3 hits yesterday, and I think he will get a few against Logan Allen in the game stack that we like. Francisco Lindor is 5,200 on DraftKings, 3,400 on FanDuel. He is facing a struggling Bailey Ober today in a potent Mets lineup. So Francisco Lindor naturally fits the player pool at shortstop. And then Jacob Wilson. Guy's batting .344 with 2 homers versus an unknown pitcher in Burke. I mean, Jacob Wilson was kind of unknown coming into the year, but you can get him on the cheap at 3,500 on DraftKings, 2,800 on FanDuel. And like I said, he has been red hot this year, so get him before he starts to cool down. In the outfield, there are 5 guys on DraftKings that are over 6K. They are a lot more affordable, in my opinion, to spend up for on FanDuel. So I'm not going to really talk about those guys. They are obvious plays, in my opinion. And if you can afford them, by all means. I mean, that's why they are priced the way they are. So I'm going to talk about guys that aren't highly priced, or as highly priced, I should say. Kwan is 5K on DK, 3K on FanDuel. He's batting .322 with 2 homers at the top of the Indians lineup. The guy's an on-base machine, which naturally leads to scoring runs. Lawrence Butler is 4,800 on DraftKings, 2,900 on FanDuel. He's batting .281. So I like the Burke matchup. He's got the righty-lefty matchup. And I kind of like the A's, although I didn't mention them in a stack today. I do like some of their players with that friendly park that they're playing in today with the wind blowing out. I also love Tyler O'Neill. He's 4,700 on DraftKings. He's 3,100 on FanDuel, so super affordable. He homered in his last game. He's in the stack. He's facing Logan Allen. He's got the righty-lefty matchup. I'm playing Tyler O'Neill, and you should too. For our lower price guys, there are a few that are in great matchups and that I kind of like, honestly. You have Pete Crow Armstrong, who in his last 3 games is 7 for 14 with 2 homers and a stolen base. Like I said, the Cubs have been rolling lately, and he's been part of it. He's 4,000 on DraftKings and 2,900 on FanDuel. Cameron Meisner, 3,400 on DraftKings, 2,600 on FanDuel. He's batting .400 with 3 homers on the season in his last 3 games. He's 6 for 12 with 2 homers. And playing in a friendly park for hitters at that price and the way he's been hitting the ball lately, I don't know how you can't play him. And Kerry Carpenter is 3,700 on DraftKings, 3,100 on FanDuel. He's batting .269 with 5 homers on the year. He's 6 for 11 in his last 3 games with a homer. He's got a righty-lefty matchup against Quinton Priester, who has just not been great over the course of however many seasons he's been playing in the MLB, which has only been a few. I mean, he's still a young guy, but whenever he's called upon, it hasn't looked all that great. I also want to point out Juan Soto. He is 6K or above 6K on DraftKings, but he's only 3,900 on FanDuel, which probably is the cheapest you will ever find Juan Soto on FanDuel, if I'm being completely honest. He's facing a struggling Bailey Ober with a righty-lefty matchup, and obviously he has the track record of all his years playing. I mean, this guy is a superstar. He had that big contract, obviously, to show for it this year. To get him for $3,900 on FanDuel, I feel like is a steal. So I had to mention him over there. All right, let's get into our lineups for today. For DraftKings, our lineup that we have are two pitchers, Tyler Mahle and Tyler Megill, the two Tylers. So what could go wrong? At catcher, spent up a little bit here, Shea Langeliers. At first base, Jonathan Aranda. At second base, Gleyber Torres. Third base, Caminero. Shortstop, Gunnar Henderson. Outfield, we have Kerry Carpenter, Meisner, and Tyler O'Neill. So taking advantage of the Orioles. I didn't play any of the Indians in that game or in this lineup, but I have players that I feel like will do very well today and are all in great matchups. Over on FanDuel, my lineup is Megill, again at pitcher. Yandy Diaz at first, Aranda, because he is second base eligible, at second. Jose Ramirez at third. Gunnar Henderson at short. Meisner, O'Neill, and Soto in the outfield. And Tyler Soderstrom at the utility spot. Loving that lineup over there as well. Those are the two lineups on both FanDuel and DraftKings. Let's get into our props. All right. Home run guys. Julio Rodriguez versus Nick Lodolo. He's not on the main slate today, but he's got the righty-lefty matchup, and the wind is blowing out in Cincinnati in an already pretty friendly hitter ballpark. Julio is plus 475 to hit a homer, and he's got 3 on the year. Lau versus Buehler. We already talked about him in the daily fantasy roundup. He is plus 475 to hit a home run with the wind blowing out, so I like that. And Yandy Diaz in that same game is plus 550, and he's hit a couple home runs in his last couple games as well. So, I mean, for those odds, what could go wrong? And then, versus Logan Allen, I mean, pick your poison here. Tyler O'Neill is plus 330, Gunnar is plus 550, and Rushman, if you want to get a little crazy, is plus 800. I like all of those guys, to be completely honest with you, and I think any one of them could hit a home run. Soderstrom versus Burke is plus 360. I like those odds. And then Riley Green is plus 500. I do like Kerry Carpenter also, which is why he's in my lineups. But his odds were a little shorter. So Riley Green is plus 500 versus Priester to go yard. For our K props, just 2. But you know what? We're going to keep going back to the well here. And that is the Red Sox well. That well has been feeding families, unfortunately for my fandom. PPI, 7+ Ks is plus 110. And then I like Springs versus the White Sox. His 7+ is also plus 150. Both are in great matchups for strikeouts. So naturally, we like those pitchers for today. I hope everyone won some money yesterday. I hope we continue and win some money today in both fantasy and with our home run and strikeout props. We will be back to do this all again tomorrow. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for listening to today's episode on Daily Dingers. Can't wait to talk more baseball, so tune in next time.